Pro wrestling is real. Democracy is fake. So what the heck am I watching? Worlds are colliding, Jerry. They're killing Independent George. Hulk Hogan was at the Republican National Convention. He tore off his shirt in a speech. Because of course he did. And he said, what you gonna do when the Trumpites run wild on you? I don't know here. This is floating all over the interwebbies. I've got the clip here posted on X by 3-year letterman, because his lead-in was the European mind cannot fathom this. And I enjoy a lot of the great comments here. Putin just withdrew from Gaza after seeing this. This is why they surrendered at Yorktown. I was hoping he would do the people's elbow, his signature move. The European bicep maxes out at 17.75-inch pythons. What would that be in centimeters, Gary, with a T? I'm going to tell my kids this was Donald Trump. John, what is your favorite comment here? Is it from the 3-year letterman or from any of those who jumped into the replies here? This is it is completely weird and yet totally expected at the same time.
What
say you?
National conventions, whether it's Democratic or Republican national conventions, cringy as crap ever.
Yes.
For both parties, it's just like, yes. Oh no, there's no baseball on right now, so I can't watch it. There's no other sports going on. It's like a dead time, and like this is when they kind of pump this crap to us.
Yes.
But they always have these like celebrities come out, which make you like dislike the candidate more with whatever celebrity they come out with. This was the perfect celebrity, and in character Hulk Hogan doing the whole shtick, the whole Hulk Hogan from the 80s thing, like take your vitamins, say your prayers thing. And if you're going to do the ridiculous, outrageous stuff, you might as well go full Hulk Hogan, right?
Yeah, I mean, who's better than Hulk Hogan to toe the line between shoot and work and not even realizing what's actual and what's scripted? I mean, this is just, and of course, Donald Trump loves it. He's a WWE Hall of Famer himself.
This is true.
I mean, so he knows pro wrestling. He knows entertainment. This is crazy. You were saying before, how haven't more candidates done this at their conventions and their rallies before? Like, wouldn't Ric Flair be just phenomenal coming out, doing the woo and the jet flying, limousine riding, throwing up the floor, talking about 4 more years? I mean,
wow. Yeah, I don't know what Joe Biden's doing right now, but he better be on the horn with Ric Flair, and he better be paying him a lot of money. And infinite booze or something like that. That seems to be Flair's driver these days. So
absolutely take care of that rider in the contract.
Right. Yes. Make sure the Uber shows up and he does the drive, But I'll tell you what.
Fantastic. The 3-year letterman here. He is a youth football coaching legend and a show-stopping Little League umpire, among other things. Tell us in the chat. Tell us in the comments, are you a youth football coaching legend? Are you a show-stopping Little League umpire? Thank you, 3-year letterman.
Well, that's as cheap as it gets, Dom.
That is as cheap as it gets, and I don't know if the temperature has risen enough there to be heat, but it's cheap something.
Right.
Call of Duty, they alluded to this in tonight's SmackDown program. Call of Duty Season 5, releasing July 24th. They have WWE Superstar Operators, RHEA Ripley, Rey Mysterio, and CODY Rhodes, who apparently are playable characters. in Call of Duty. This video here is from Call of Duty. Please don't strike our channel and make us take this off. We are playing your friggin' commercial for people. It's advertising for you.
I think you're good.
Be nice, algorithm. We're not stealing someone's content. It's a commercial we're airing for free. So anyway, have you ever played Call of Duty? I understand that video games are not only a big deal, but video games that you can play online with other people remotely are an even bigger deal. And a lot of the first-person shooter games are awesome. We can see the RHEA Ripley character that's playable here. Coming in here, we also saw somebody who looked like CODY Rhodes giving somebody a crossroads. You know, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would bring a spinning neck breaker that takes a long time to execute to a gunfight, but hey, whatever. It's a shoot, it's a work, it's a video game.
Oh, they have all of the wrestlers, so they have like not just RHEA Ripley, but a couple other people.
Rey Mysterio and CODY Rhodes. This was their commercial. Do you play Call of Duty, John? I do not.
I played maybe 15 years ago, 10 years, whenever it first came out. I had played it a little bit, but I am not a gamer. I don't have a lot of free time on my hands because my only free time I really spend on YouTube editing videos, which is kind of my video game, if you will. But I do know enough about video games and how they're kind of pushed at this point. Is they have these universes, if you will, where like you buy a Call of Duty, then you have to buy all this other stuff, and that's how they kind of make money. So I'd imagine you might have to pay money for different skins and stuff like that for this. So it's a good cross promotional thing. And you know, maybe WWE gets a cut of it, and if nothing at all, they get some publicity. RHEA Ripley is well on her way to becoming a big star, and
she is.
Let's face it. Does she have the look or what to look like a superhero in a video game? So
I question wearing the wrestling trunks out to the fighting world there.
Yeah, if you're in the military.
I mean, she could wear the outfit that she usually wears to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I also am not a gamer, and like you were saying, from what I understand, yes, my understanding is the same way that a lot of this stuff is now software as a service, where you sign up for a subscription and you got to pay to buy other things to unlock certain aspects of the game.
Yeah, tell us in the comments.
Absolutely.
We were really lost on a clip with Mercedes Mone on the last week, and that got a lot of views, and a lot of people gave us comments and let us know what the deal is. So what is the deal with Call of Duty, and like why would WWE cross promote? Because I would be guessing. So tell us in the comments. How's that sound?
Are there any Call of Duty video game fans out there, players who know this stuff better than us? Educate us. We don't mind when you disagree with us in the comments. We don't mind when you tell us stuff that we don't know in the comments, especially if we ask and say, hey, anybody out there, let's crowdsource it. Let's give us some more information. The only thing we ask is if you're commenting there on YouTube, keep the comments YouTube appropriate. Do not do not get your friends here. Don't bury the lead. A little YouTube strike there with something a little inappropriate.
We're very close. You can tell we're very close. Maybe a little cheap here for us, but very close to getting to the watch hours for monetization.
Yes.
So we are treading lightly a bit as we head toward the finish line.
Yes.
But
he says as I open Cheap Hit by telling everybody that democracy is fake.
Right. Democracy is
fake. Put that in the video description anywhere.
Right. If
like,
we're gonna
guy says electoral politics is fake. I was like, yeah, I did, but like, don't give them the hint. Like, make them watch us like WWE does in order to find that. Like, make it tough on them.
Yes, you have to
make my FBI guy contact them and get in touch with them.
Yeah, I think they'll realize it's parody. I hope.
Whatever. It's cheap heat.
Well, moving
on.
We're
doing the thing. We're doing the cheap heat. Sometimes we're heels. Tony Khan, this one comes to us from comingsoon.net. Tony Khan names the top star as the face of AEW's network. He was talking about, with all the great stars they have, that Adam Copeland is really the face of AEW's broadcasting partner, TNT. Bummer that Adam Copeland jumped off the top of a cage trying to elbow a guy through a table and broke his leg. Oh, well. But yeah, you brought up before, John, about AEW taking some heat on the internet about their storylines maybe not being there. They've got a lot of great wrestlers who can do storylines, who can tell a story in the ring, great ring psychology guys. And how has Adam Copeland been since he's made the jump over to All Elite Wrestling? What say you? You've watched him. Is he kind of face of the company guy, or at least face of TNT?
I think Tony is headed in the right direction saying this, because before Edge or Adam Copeland was there, they had a lot of turmoil backstage. It wasn't just CM Punk. There's like lots of bickering, lots of this happened and that happened. And I think there just wasn't that veteran leader presence that like John Cena is a good example, or Undertaker, that kind of mediates the boys. And then in addition to that, you've got certain guys in the back that I'm trying to put the words to this the best way I can.
They have guys like Jericho and Christian Cage, so they don't lack for guys who've been in the business for a long time.
But I think that Jericho is not necessarily a disciplinary type guy, or at least I think Jericho is feeding into a lot of this stuff. And then in addition to that, I would just want to say they have a lot of young guys. They have a lot of guys that are in their mid-20s, late 20s. They were complete nobodies. Now they're in AEW. They've got some fame. It kind of gets to your head. There's probably a lot of other stuff going on that we don't even know about. Hey, they're rock stars. I don't blame them. If I was 25 and I was in AEW, I'd probably be doing extremely stupid things, right? So, if you think about it from that perspective, I think that maybe that's what he means by Adam Copeland being their top star, that he's been a good guy the whole time. I know they awarded, and just one more thing here, they awarded Samoa Joe with the title because he was the guy that was keeping like CM Punk in line during that whole incident. He calmed everyone down. He got a match at CM Punk at their big show. That could have been a complete nightmare if they didn't go out and wrestle.
Yes.
Like that would have been horrific, right? Like a complete disaster. Like your biggest
show.
Yeah,
their biggest gate ever out in Wembley, right?
And CM Punk can't come out and wrestle, and he wasn't going to, and Joe talked him into it. And they went out and they had a regular match, and you wouldn't think anything of it. But then so anyways, I think that's what Tony Khan is alluding to.
Okay, I wondered if he was talking simply because Adam Copeland had the name recognition for all those years as Edge in WWE, and that when he came over to AEW, he wasn't like dogging it or didn't look like a shell of himself. That has Adam Copeland looked, I mean, aside from the jumping off the top of the cage and cracking his tibia or whatever was in his lower leg, has he looked like he's given it his all in there and is as athletic and entertaining as you could expect, and maybe even a little more? I mean, before that accident, did he look like he was really giving it his all to the AEW?
I think that their best star that they brought over is Daniel Bryanson, or Brian Danielson.
Yes,
it's always going to throw me for a loop.
Yes.
Brian Danielson, I think is definitely their best star. He's having the best matches. He's getting the big pops. He looks like he belongs, and he looks like he's transformed, even leveled up a little bit. If you somehow did from WWE, he's in fantastic shape. He's got dreadlocks now. There's like braids, and there's something about it that makes him look a little bit less friendly and goofy and a little bit more serious.
Okay, huh?
Yeah. I guess no, it's not dreadlocks. It's kind of like these braids, but the way that they're
like
structured,
cornrows, like Carmelo
cornrows almost. Yeah.
Okay.
He cornrowed his long hair, and he's got the beard and everything, and he's, what's his name? Today, LA Knight said Logan Paul was low T. Let's just say he's not low T. He might be high tea, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
But yeah. So, anyways, I think Bryan Danielson is the guy, and then there's also Jon Moxley. I think
Okay.
he's also been that. So maybe Adam Copeland though has been pretty solid. He hasn't been amazing, but he's been solid.
Okay, very good. One of the people you mentioned, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho got a big endorsement from Jake Hager here, saying that Chris Jericho puts over guys, and you don't see people like Sting putting anybody over, like actually letting them win the match like that. He was on the No Shave Man Cave, which is a fellow YouTube channel here. He sat in for the interview there. We will not play their interview, but of course, go to if you'd like to see this whole thing, No Shave Man Cave.
Yeah.
Here on YouTube. This
If
article
it's-
comes to us from WrestleZone, though. And
Yeah, if you want,
what
Tom,
say you about Chris Jericho?
you could easily play like a YouTube clip of a small gut person, and if you want to just mute it, and I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just get to the WrestleZone. Some of the excerpted comments here.
So
Talking
No
about
Shave-
Jericho, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's not the disciplinarian back there, but Jake Hager at least was impressed by the fact that Chris Jericho would go out there and wrestle guys, and sometimes win the match, sometimes lose the match, and not throw a fit about hey, what about my spot? I got to win all the time, which
yeah.
maybe veterans have done over the long and storied history of pro wrestling. Perhaps even one particular Hollywood person who we mentioned earlier in Cheap Heat for a different reason.
Yeah, a specific political guy that we were referencing at the moment.
Wrestling politics. Yeah, so maybe Jericho's not the guy playing a lot of wrestling politics. What say you about watching Chris Jericho work?
Well, I got some news for you. He's correct. He has put a lot of guys over. I loved Jericho going into AEW. Like loved what he was doing. We have a short where I talk about this, but I'll just even talk about him again. I think that Chris Jericho is the first guy to really get the ball rolling to do something outside of WWE, because up until that point, WWE was the only show in town.
Yep.
So he said, hey, I got contacted by New Japan. Vince said, sure, go do it. And they're like, all right. And he hadn't been getting along well with creative at that point. Like he got buried in a WrestleMania thing. So he's like, okay, I'll go to New Japan. He goes to New Japan. He breathes life into that promotion. He starts wrestling for them. And he's wrestling Kenny Omega. So he's getting Kenny Omega exposure. There's Americans in the crowd at this show, and you could hear him chanting for Y2J and stuff like that. So then that really sparked a lot of the stuff with All In. Eventually, when the Young Bucks have the show with CODY Rhodes,
yes,
and kind of led into AEW. So he's kind of the godfather, or that really created all of the concept of a second company or working for other companies and having success, as well as the success that AEW has had. Now, I know a lot of people on the internet right now, it's very in vogue to trash AEW, but you can't deny their success that they've had up to this point.
The quote from Hager was here. Do you see Triple H putting over any new guys? Talking about in the past. Do you see Undertaker putting over any new guys? Do you see any top guys that have been in the business as long as Jericho putting over anybody? Did Sting put anybody over? No, he's trying to build, saying Jericho again. Jericho's trying to build. He understands it, and it drives me crazy that nobody talks about this. He's putting these guys, he's putting over these guys. He's putting the stamp on them, which you sort of talked about, Kenny Omega in Japan.
Yeah.
Did he make Orange Cassidy hot? I mean, come on. I'm biased, but I just think the fact that he is so unselfish with building this company, forget about it. So Jake Hager agrees with you there. Good for Jericho getting some compliments here. This comes to us from WrestleZone here. Is that Big Bill in the background?
That's Big Bill.
Big Bill, and there's Chris Jericho. Very good. Back when Jericho
so
had the belt.
Jake Hager was in Jericho's
Appreciation Society?
Yeah, Appreciation Society. Before that, they had a good one, the Inner Circle.
Okay.
The first the first stable he had was called the Inner Circle, and that was the best one.
All right.
Jericho Appreciation Society was a little bit more cheesy and a little bit more shots at WWE because they
Okay.
call it sports entertainment the whole
Oh,
time. They just kept calling everything, this is sports entertainment, and they acted like sports entertainers. They would dance and stuff,
okay. Some
So it's a big
parody.
Yeah, they
Very
were
good.
ribbing the WWE by acting like WWE wrestlers.
Oh, see, maybe I would have enjoyed that. I'm a fan of parody and satire
Yeah.
and a good joke here or there. Hey, bringing up Triple H there. Someone else apparently invoked Triple H. Scott Steiner. This comes to us from Fightful. Scott Steiner on steroid use. You can make all the accusations you want. I never failed a drug test. He was talking on bring up an episode of AEW biography, WWE Legends. He said, "I never failed a drug test. Take that information and do what you want with it. When I made the transition from Steiner Brothers to Big Papa Pump, I wanted to get in the best shape I possibly could. A lot of strict diet. Once you are leaner, you're naturally going to look bigger." And he says he had previously told Slam Sports, "I've never failed a drug test in my life. When WWE told me to take one, I told them to have Triple H pick me up in a limo. We could go test together. They never asked again." There's somebody who knows how to play the game.
Yeah,
And yes, that's a pun I intended.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think it was a mystery what Triple H was doing because you could see sometimes he would be enormous, and then there was some times when he looked so doughy. It's like, oh god, he's off the juice. He's just doughy now, and because he'd cycle on and off, and they'd have to do the drug tests, so he'd always know the drug. I'm sure his father-in-law was telling him when the drug tests were.
all right. So Scott Steiner claims, and if anybody can refute Scott Steiner's claim here, please do. He says he never failed a drug test, and of course we know Scott Steiner also never failed a math test.
Right. I love it
because he could do all that in his head. Genius, Scott Steiner. We love him. Big Papa Pump.
No, amazing. Yeah.
Again, from coming soon, this is The Miz, who we've talked about earlier. His versatility as just an all-around entertainer, guy who can get in there and wrestle, but also do other things. The Miz comments on fewer matches at WWE Premium Live events. If you look at it, think of all the top stars right now and talking about how hot wrestling's been. But then he said, "I love what we're doing with these premium live events where we're having 5 or 6 matches. So instead of trying to cram 8 or 9 matches into a pay-per-view, now called premium live events, the matches being kind of short, he likes it better that it's actually tougher for a wrestler to get on a pay-per-view, onto a premium live event, because now there's only 5. We've been seeing 5 matches for a non-WrestleMania pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Just pretty consistently. 5 matches. He likes that the premium live event matches are going longer. There's only 5 of them. So, you can do a premium live event in 3.5 hours with long matches. And what say you? I think we've talked about this before. We've noticed a change. Do we like it better, worse?
What is the change? It was
they used to cram a lot more matches into a premium live event so that more wrestlers could get on the card.
Oh yeah,
and so the matches either wound up being shorter, or the pay-per-views went like 4.5 hours.
Yeah,
or
no,
a combination therein.
I love the pacing of these shows. I really do. And you know what? They're frequent, and at the rate that they push them out, I am not doing a 4 or 5 hour show every couple weeks. I'm just not doing it. And I'm sick of the show. By the time the main event's over, I'm done. So it's always perfect. I used to watch these WWE events and they would drag on and on. And then they'd have an extra match, and you'd be like, "Oh, I don't even want to watch this." And then it was finally the main event. It's Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Face Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. It was always that, and the crowd would be dead because they'd be tired because it was like 12:30 on a Sunday night at 12:30, and it's like, how did the show go so late? Yeah. Comment and let us know. Did you used to watch pro wrestling when you would see like pay-per-views that would go like so long into the night, and it would be a Sunday night, and you have to get up for work at 7 a.m.
I am in agreement with you. I like the format of the premium live events where they do 5 matches that have plenty of time. Now, part of that may also be that because these are not total pay-per-views anymore, they're premium live events streamed through Peacock. That they are now running commercials during the premium live events.
Yeah.
So it's part of them having to raise revenue other ways other than the buy rate on these PLEs. So that is also maybe the reason why they can't squeeze an extra match into some of these events. But the overall idea of having fewer matches, but really good matches, have the show go 3.5 hours and get out and leave people wanting more, especially if you're having another one in 4 more weeks. There's going to be 2 premium live events in the month of August.
Right.
You know, SummerSlam on the 3rd, Bash in Berlin, which I still insist should be called the Berlin Brawl. Tear it down at the Berlin Brawl will be August 31st.
Berlin Brawl. That's a shame, right? We missed that one.
Oh,
wow.
I've been harping on it on and off for months since they announced it.
Well, Dom, I'll make a short out of it.
You go. Tear it down at the Berlin Brawl.
Right.
Yeah. Come on, go for the poor taste pun.
Yes.
What are they going to do? Ban you from the internet over in Germany? Oh, wait, they probably would.
They might. I don't think you're allowed to talk about that stuff. Although that was a positive thing for them. I think they might want to talk about that.
There you go, right?
Yeah.
Eventually tearing down the wall. So there we go. On to some wrestling promotion associations here. TNA Wrestling Champion, the Moose, talks about how great the WWE relationship with. This was kind of cheap heat when I read it because he's putting AEW on blast. I'm like, okay, this is definitely cheap heat. It's also kind of salty and petty.
Which we like.
Well, yeah, we could go with that. So Moose commenting on the way TNA and WWE have their current partnership and that it's doing better. And Moose said, I think it's the best relationship TNA's ever had. Way better than the one we had with AEW, better than what was done with AAA and any other company. Now, maybe it's because there's such a gravitas disparity between WWE and TNA that it's not like the two of them have to posture against each other like WWE feels threatened.
Yeah.
Like they will enter into something with TNA. It almost feels like the way they entered into something with ECW as a way to stick it to WCW, who is in the middle. Like the guy on top partners with the guy that's maybe down there in 3rd.
Yeah.
Stick it to the guy who's in 2nd.
Wow, it's literally what they're doing from the 90s. Huh.
Yeah. This is WWE going to the number 3 promotion to stick it to the one that's in between them getting sandwiched there.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting.
Anyway, Moose seems to be a fan of this. I personally have not seen much of the crossover here because they basically do it on NXT, which I don't watch. I don't have whatever the thing is that NXT is broadcast on. Although maybe I do. I haven't checked into if it's on Peacock yet.
I think it's on
live.
CW.
CW. I don't have CW, so I don't have TV. I got rid of TV 10 years ago, at least more than 10 years ago. But from what I hear, it's great for people, and we do occasionally at the Royal Rumble get TNA stars showing up. Jordan Grace was a big pop at this year's Royal Rumble, and she became one of the people who made the crossover into NXT in the months since Royal Rumble. There's Joe Henry, who apparently is a big star. Everybody likes him.
Yeah, people. I've seen a lot of stuff on the internet about Joe Henry. I had no idea who he was.
Mhm. I don't know much. Tell us in the chat if you're watching the recording on archive. Tell us in the comments. Do you know Joe Henry? Do you know Moose? Do you know some of the TNA people who've been part of this crossover? What have you thought of the crossover and how some of these TNA wrestlers have been featured in them? They're not just getting buried or made to look like they're a minor league organization. I would hope not. I'm a fan of TNA Impact from years and years ago when I saw them, and back when TNA Impact used to draw 2 million viewers to their TV shows. I mean, 2 million viewers is what Raw draws nowadays.
It's crazy. Yeah,
You know, like TNA used to draw 2 million viewers on Spike TV. You know, so I do have fond memories of TNA. And if they're being treated well by WWE, that's great. Good for everybody around there. Another association WWE is with GCW, which, if you're an old timer, is not Georgia Championship Wrestling.
it certainly isn't.
It is Game Changer Wrestling. Matt Cardona here believes that Game Changer Wrestling Invasion could be nearing with the WWE. That might be interesting, especially since he's talking about the former Zack Ryder is talking. You talk about a perfect way for Matt Cardona to make his debut in the WWE, because he ain't coming back as Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder is dead. Imagine if Matt Cardona comes down the aisle. Nick Gage hops the barricade. You want to talk about moments? That's a moment. Effie, Janela, SDL, Alley Catch, Mance Warner. You get everybody we could bring in. Brett Lauderdale could be the new Paul Heyman on commentary. This is Matt Cardona's job. He's like king of the indies. It's his job to pitch thing and drum up excitement. But does he have a point? Would Matt Cardona with this new persona, not Zack Ryder, would Matt Cardona with this Game Changer Wrestling affiliation here be a guy who would draw interest from the WWE audience if he showed up as Matt Cardona? Chelsea Green, his wife, would like it.
I got some news for you, Dom. Some of the guys he mentioned, I don't think the WWE would want to touch with a 6-foot pole.
Right.
Nick Gage is a former convict, and he's just a death match guy. He actually went to my high school. He's from National Park, New Jersey.
Okay.
These are all Jersey people. Matt Tremont, do you remember him from the old H2O arena?
Yes,
he's in GCW. Joey Janela, who was in AEW, he's a bit of a buffoon. He's always drunk. He's like he got drunk and tried to start a fight with Enzo Amore at a Vans Warp Tour. So yeah, there's some.
He sounds like a ripoff of early Bonsall Street Bomber.
But instead of it being in gimmick, it was his real life personality.
Oh, what a loser!
What a loser! No, you can't be a real loser. You know, you can't be a. You have to be a kayfabe loser, not a real loser.
He needs Diamond Earl Scruggs to help him clean up his act.
Right. Well, anyways, I think it would be cool for Matt Cardona to go back to WWE for like a one-off, but I'm not sure that these clowns should also be involved because I would say this: they do all the deathmatch stuff. They're just everyone's bleeding all over the place. They're all doing the crazy stuff, and that's their thing. Like I'm just saying, like that's their thing. They do their thing, but it's, I've seen some of these guys wrestle in South Jersey. Man, I don't know. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but I've seen some of these guys wrestle in South Jersey. I've seen some of the death matches, and no, thank you.
Yeah, it's a niche audience, right?
It's quite the niche audience, and that there is no audience for it except for a couple weirdos.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that can work on a small scale. I don't think WWE wants to do that. WWE, if they're going to do crossovers, they want people who can fit what WWE is. They don't want people who are going to be way out there that now change for the time they're on the screen what WWE programming is.
They got John Moxley from CZW because he was a deathmatch
Combat
guy.
Zone Wrestling, right?
Yeah, and he was doing the deathmatch stuff, and they brought him to WWE, just made him a wrestler. and then he became a good wrestler.
Right?
And
They brought him in. He had to fit WWE to work at WWE.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so that's where we're going with it. Hey, let's close up with something. We started with the 3-year Letterman. Let's finish up with ex-user Stan Thrax,
Mhm.
who was at an AEW show recently where Will Ospreay, out in the stands, held MJF against the guardrail there and had a 7-year-old deliver strikes to MJF's chest. John, you watch AEW.
I do.
Are you surprised? Did you happen to see this? Was it on Dynamite like they're saying here?
It was on Dynamite. I missed this match.
Oh,
but
no.
I would be thrilled to have a 7-year-old chop MJF. I think this was really cool. And I also think it was great because, just to give her the finger after she does it. You see that? He gives her the finger right after she slaps him. It's great because MJF he no-sells it, which he should because she's a child.
Yes.
So, she just does the thing and he's like, gives her the finger, which is fantastic. I like stuff like this. I like when they get the crowd involved to a certain degree. There was a time MJF took this woman's drink and threw it in this guy in one of the wrestlers' faces. But that drink was like at a $22 margarita. Like it was like a huge, like one of those huge alcoholic margarita drinks.
Oh, wow.
And when he threw it in the person's face, it also hit like some kids. So they were like, one of the rules now, I think, is like, don't take their drink and spill it because you're throwing alcohol on children sometimes.
Yes, sometimes. You're an AEW fan. I know you've gone to AEW shows.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I misspoke. He took the drink and threw it at the child, and it was alcohol. That's what it was. Yeah. So it's a mother and the son, and it takes it from the mother and throws it on the kid. And that was like some really nasty heel stuff, and it was hilarious. But I think the mom wasn't too thrilled about that.
Well, yeah, you've lost the margarita.
And the kid's probably like freaked,
Part of the show. John, you've been to AEW live events before. In a few years, are we going to see perhaps Big John Studd pounding some wrestler who's being held up in the stands by another wrestler while you film it on your phone?
Oh my God. If that was me right there, I'd say lay into him. Stiff him. Do what Tiffany Stratton does.
Right.
Lay it in.
Dragon screw on the knee.
Right. Yeah, really make an impact there. Because in the future, I want you wrestling pro. So
there you go. Fantastic. Thank you to everybody involved in this, including Stan Thrax, for posting this to his X account here. This was a fun way to end. It is pathologically frugal. It is unseasonably warm. It is cheap heat.
Cheap heat.